Hello and welcome to our 7-8 minutes of weekly Torah talk. Our guest today is Rabbi Jonathan Freirich of Temple Beit Zion in Buffalo, Beit Zion, I should say in Hebrew. Hello, Rabbi. Thank you for being with us.
Toda rabba. Thank you for having me. Ba'aretz in Israel, Beit Knesset Beit Zion seems weird, but in English, Temple Beit Zion.
Our parsha is Balak, an eventful parsha. Balak is the king of Moab, and he summons prophet Bilam to curse the people of Israel. On the way, Bilam is berated by his donkey. 3 times, Bilam attempts to pronounce his curses. Each time, blessings issue forth instead. The people fall prey to the charms of the daughters of Moab and are enticed to worship the idol Peor. Pinchas, the priest, kills a high-ranking Israelite official who publicly takes a Midianite princess into a tent. The first pasuk of our parsha says, Vayar Balak ben Tzipor et kol asher asa Israel ha'emori. Balak, the son of Zippor, saw all that Israel has done to the Amorites. So, Rabbi, let me begin with this. Why do we even care if what's his name, the prophet, if Bilam curses us or not? Why would we care?
It's an interesting question, right? Here is this story. We are totally focused on this idea of this being our story, right? That the Torah is a story about us, about we, the Jewish people, our covenant with the divine, how we navigate this complicated relationship with multiple parental figures, right? We've got Moses, we've got God, we've got all this stuff going on. And here we have kind of this outside view. And so I've seen a couple of things about this. Rabbi Bradley Shvitz-Artson, he who teaches at UJ at the Ziegler School. It's no longer in LA. He says that we are being asked in large part to remember that Judaism is not about our internal relationship as Jews to be alone. That we can focus on self-improvement, we can focus on figuring out how to do the mitzvot, we can focus on prayer, all of these things that are sort of the essence of Jewish life. Shabbat meals, holiday celebrations. However, we are still in the rest of the world, that we cannot be closed, that we must be understanding that our connection to each other must lead to our connection to people outside of us as well. And that this parsha, Bilam and Balak, gives us a window into how our ancient ancestors were viewed externally, and also the fact that God is conversing with them too, right? That our God is everyone's God, and if our God is everyone's God, then our responsibility is not just to Jews and a Jewish God, but to everyone and the entirety of the universe. That we have a global, a universal responsibility. That if we, and of course, Bilam says this, if others are blessed through us and others are cursed through us, then our behavior impacts everyone.
Right. So we try not to discuss politics and current affairs in our Torah talks, but would you say that today's parallel would be to pay attention to the international press or to criticism of outsiders? I don't know, the UN or other countries?
So that's an interesting question, right? You're in Israel, I'm in New York, actually in New York City right now, 2 rarefied places of Jewish experience, right, where often our sense is that we are, as Bilam says, a people apart, a people who have our own standards and are often judged unfairly. My question is always, how do we get beyond that initial conversation? How do we say there is something in common between us even though we are apart? And that this happens on the micro level. It happens one-on-one between 2 people. Right? Even in the most intimate of our relationships, we are always trying to figure out how to communicate our needs, our desires, our understandings with somebody who sees the world fundamentally differently than we do. How much more so? So with another people, with another country, we, the Israeli desire to, and the Jewish global desire to do effective hasbara, to explain ourselves to everyone, has been overwhelmingly a failure. And it's been a failure in large part because we have not been able to create a sympathetic connection. We keep not to get political or international, but honestly, the Palestinian cause has done a better job creating sympathy for the plight of Palestinians than Israelis and Jews have done for the millennia of struggle that we have faced. Suddenly, we are no longer David, we are Goliath in the world scene.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right, and going back to Bilam, he's sent by his king to curse the people, or the reporter is sent to Israel to criticize it, and suddenly he blesses it. Do we derive any satisfaction from such blessings?
Well, obviously, we derive satisfaction from such blessings because we use them,
included
right?
In the Torah, right? Yeah.
Right. I mean, we open up our day with Matovu Ohalecha. Right? How wondrous are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. The way we are supposed to look out on the world every morning is to see ourselves as we are seen. One could say this is the antidote to the scouts. Right? The scouts go and they see Israel, and they, instead of seeing it for its own sake, they see how they imagine they look in the eyes of others. And they don't actually ask them how they look. They say, oh, these people are scary. They must see us like grasshoppers.
Right.
Here, we have Bilam offering us a real report. I see you as a great people. I see you as wondrous. I see you as a source of blessing. And I see you this way because God sees you this way. And God's worldview, God's point of view is even more powerful than our own insecurities. What would happen? Part of the problem is who we see and who we are seen by.
Right.
Palestinians and Israelis meet at.
In this parsha, a lot is about a point of view, and one aspect of it is the story of the donkey.
Yes.
Because the donkey also can see things that Bilam does not see, right?
For sure, right? The donkey is confronted by a danger and tries to shield Bilam from the danger, cannot speak to Bilam about the danger, and it is only after Bilam's eyes are opened that Bilam is sorry for beating the crap out of his poor donkey. And the lesson there, in my mind, is that our initial reactions to situations are always based on limited information. That at no point when we are encouraged to make snap judgments, to go with our gut, to trust first impressions, all of these sorts of things. And Torah, I think, over and over again is asking us, hey, wait a second. This first impression that you're offering, think about it. This initial impulse, Nadav and Avihu, I want to go and be in God's presence without anything interfering, doing exactly what I want, doesn't work out so well. We are being asked constantly to think things through. Why is the donkey not going? Bilam doesn't ever ask why. Bilam only says the donkey is being difficult. And this interplay between asking and seeing and not understanding is a fundamental challenge to all the things that we do. And it's yes.
Yeah, maybe a word about the last story in this parsha, the story of Pinchas that I mentioned. Does it send the opposite message? We just talked about the need for the Jewish people not to be totally apart, but then we get the message of when we mix with the Midianites, someone needs to put us back in order and remind us that we cannot completely mix with others.
Well, this is an incredibly troubling story.
It is.
And And contextually, it's challenging. Of course, Moses himself marries somebody who is not only not a Levite, but not an Israelite, right? A daughter of Midian. Is that you?
Yeah, no, I'm sorry about that. Keep going.
That's okay. So here, however, here are the same Midianites, right? Yitro was a Midianite priest too, right? But these Midianites have a different agenda. These Midianites, hey guys, these Midianites are deliberately trying to subvert it to our own way,
Right.
and they come with a particular agenda, and so I am not somebody who would want to hold up Pinchas as a hero, right? After all, Pinchas, you gave a very nice, neutral, vanilla version of what Pinchas did and what the couple were doing, but Pinchas takes a spear and runs two people through.
Right.
However, what does Pinchas do? What's the result of that? The result of that is the stemming of a plague that would have killed hundreds, if not thousands, of people. So, however, and again, this is exactly what you're asking me, is you're saying, wait a second, is there a way to redeem this story? This story is supposed to be here to teach us something. And maybe it's to teach us that there's a different way of approaching people, that the Midianites are not bad in and of themselves, that what we need to do is we need to gauge each other based on how we approach one another. And here, the Midianites are the villain. But the Midianites aren't always the villain, right? Moses being judged unfairly by his sister and his brother, by Miriam and Aaron for his spouse. Moses and his Midianite wife there are the hero, right? In the story, when Zipporah is the one who remembers that either Moses or his sons need to be circumcised, she is the heroine. So each of these stories are constantly asking us, wait, no. Don't draw a conclusion. And for that matter, I think the big problem that we face is don't draw the conclusion we're looking for. Right? Don't go to Torah and say, okay, I want to hate someone else. Here we have a story about hate that's justifiable. I'm just like Pinchas. I'm a zealot. No. If we are going to Torah with a lesson already in mind, then Torah is not an instructor. And it's not an instruction, and Torah stands for instruction.
Well, as Bilam showed us, you go with a pre-prescribed message, and then you end up blessing the people rather than cursing them. Rabbi, our time is up. Thank you and Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you so much, and a beautiful way to end it. I love bringing it back to Balaam, who has to give us a blessing even though he didn't intend to. Shabbat Shalom to you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to chat.
Shabbat Shalom.